Hi, everyone. Welcome to Live with Janome. I'm Ann Hine. I'm just waiting here a minute or two. I'm trying to pull up the video so we can watch. I can watch along with you guys. And I'm just waiting to see a few more people show up. I'll turn the camera on. Let me get that going here. Let's see. I think if I do this, there we go. So hi, everybody. So welcome to Live with Janome. Today is Artistic Digitizer Basics and Beyond. And so with these little lessons, I'm hoping to show you some things maybe you already know about Artistic Digitizer, maybe it's a refresher, maybe you're just starting. And so hopefully these little bits will help you to get along with your creative journey. And then at the end, I have a little project I'm going to stand to the side. We're going to make this little thing here. I'm going to show you how to do this split letter. So I'm going to bring it up close. There we go. And this is a little gift I'm going to send to my son and his wife. I'm going to show you how to do the split letter, and it's on cards, how to sew on card. We're going to sew it on cardstock. This is a little bit of felt here. So I'm going to show you how to do that. But I'm sending it along with this cute little easel, which I think, they'll just take this and put it away. But my daughter-in-law has been watercolor painting. So I know she has some little pieces, and this would be a great little stand for her to put them up with. So hopefully they'll like that. I'm going to post that to them through the mail. Hi, Marty. Welcome, welcome. So we had like a little bit of a freeze ice thing overnight, but right now it seems pretty good. So that's really nice that let me get this camera going the right way. So I think that's passed and it's all warmed up a little bit, only to get colder. I think we're going to get snow again. So it's that season where it's up and down till we figure out what's going on. All right, let me see what we have out there. All right, we have quite a few people. So be sure to post questions as you go. I do have my iPad up here, and I can check those and then answer them. I'm going to start with the software. I'm going to open up the software and show you a little bit of the software. I demo on my Mac, but I will be showing you some stuff on the PC as well so that you can see the differences. There are a few things I want to talk about. File systems look different. They do the same thing, but they look different. So I like to show both of those. So I have my camera set up for that, so I can show you my PC. Now, if you're a junior member, you can also post that in there if you're a junior or full user of AD. Just to let you know, not only do we have videos right here on the Janome Sewing Machine page, these also post to YouTube, and you'll find more under the Janome channel for YouTube. But we also have a whole page, a Facebook page. Let me see if I can find it here. There we go. This is our Janome Artistic Digitizer Facebook group. And if you search Janome Artistic Digitizer, you'll find our Facebook group page. So there's lots of resources there for everyone. There's videos, worksheets, projects from our developer, and I've done a couple series of projects as well. Not that you have to do them. One of them is called Mystery Quilt Block Party, and maybe you're not a quilter, but you might want to take a look at it, because through the different blocks, I teach different tools. So it's a good way to learn the tools as we go along. So you don't actually have to do any quilt if you don't want to, but it gives you, if you just try the things on the screen of your machine, it gets you in the habit of where the tools are and finding tools and that part of it. And while I'm demoing today, if there's something particular you haven't been able to find, let me know, and hopefully if I don't cover it, I can grab that question and answer it there. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to close some of this stuff so it's not in the way, and then I am going to go to our software. Let me get that right here. There we go. All right, so now the software is up. Let me get that more centered here. There we go. All right, so when you open your software, this is what's called the welcome page. And on the welcome page, you'll find over here on the left, different ways to get into the program, ways to set your default machine and hoop, how to set your default fabric and embroidery category. And then here's anything recent that you've worked on. And of course, over here, these are the videos. I'm going to expand this. These are the videos that are built into the software. So you can scroll through here, and there's lots of things. There's actually a little project here. I did this a little bit ago. So when you hover on them, it gives you a little explanation on there. So you can kind of come through here and see, what those are. These will help you out as well. And they're right here in the program. But of course, as I said, we have a lot over on our Facebook page as well. So in the center, as I said, these are the recents. You can X these out if you're not using them and you don't want them there. You can just click on the X and they go away. And this down here is the slider to make them larger or smaller, however you want to work with them. Really quickly, I want to talk about this because a lot of times when you first get your software, or even if you've had it for a while, you forget. This sets your default hoop and machine. So you would click in there. You would do the drop down because we are multi-branded. So you might have a machine that's different than Janome, and you can choose it there. And then over here, you choose your model. And once you have your model, you can go ahead and pick your hoop. Now, if you're a CM17 owner and you loaded the software probably from a CD, you won't see your CM17 because I think that's some of our machines still have an old artistic digitizer in them. So you just have to look in your directions and it'll take you to the global page where you can find the download for the junior and the full program. That's the most current. We should be at 1.7, as you can see at the top of my screen, and we are at build. I'm not going to show here. I think we're at build 3980 something. So if you don't see your machine, it's probably because you have software that's outdated. All right, let me close this because I know I always pick that large one. You don't have to do it every time. Once you pick it, it's going to be in the work page every time you go there. And this part down here, this part here is important. So when you're working and if you pick one of these with a fabric, okay, every fabric under the normal category, any of these fabrics are the same. They use the same density, the same parameters that are preset, which you can change later. So that's not a problem. But if you don't like the color behind here, you can pick your category and your over here, none normal. So you have a white background. And then if you wanted to change the color, you can always left click in here and use the color wheel to change the color. I really like to work with white behind my work. Sometimes when people are posting pictures and they have these little pictures of the fabric behind their work, it's very hard to see some of the things that's going on. So I usually use white. Sometimes I use black or navy blue, something like that, depending on what I'm working on. And I will come back occasionally, and if I'm working on a certain color, I will change my background color so that I can see how my colors are going to look on that, just in case. Okay. Hi, Phyllis, and Cindy's here. Welcome, welcome. All right. So once you set that, it stays there. Now, there are other embroidery categories here, and what they do is they preset your density and what else? There's a couple other things it sets here, and how thick the density would be how thick. So if you needed something very, very light, you could pick ultra light, and the things you're going to be doing will come up as with less stitches and things like that, probably more open work and things like that. You can always change these back to whatever you want to work on. You can always play with the density in the properties too, so you don't have to pick. I pretty much stay in normal, and sometimes I like smooth. So I just use that as my these are the ones that my standard ones I'm just going to stay with. And then once you pick what you need, just click the OK, and there it is. You're all set right there. All right, so let's talk about going into the program. Hi, Mary. How's things down in Dover? We're all melting up here in the northern part of the state. So over here on the left side, this is how you would go into the program. You could use the browse function. You could do open a file, or you can do create new. So it's here that I want to talk to you about a few things. Under the browse function, when I click there, this is what I like about the browse function. I can access my CM17 and what's on the ready to sew screen, what's in the built-in. If I have a USB in over there, I can see that. And then I can also click on the built-in samples that are in the machine if I wanted to do that. I have my USB stick up here. And yours will look this is the same look whether you're on a Mac or a PC. It's going to look like this. But what I find is when I'm looking over here, I do have some things saved to my favorites. I can come in here and click on my desktop, and whatever is on my desktop will show up over here. Plus it opens up now some other areas in my computer that I can go to. I have some embroidery categories in here. When I open one of these, I'll open the monsters. Let's see what happens. It shows me pictures of thumbnails of each of these designs. So for me, this is great. I can just double click on this and it opens it to the work page. All right. So I like seeing all the designs. But if you wanted to, sometimes navigating like this is difficult for people. So come back to the welcome page, or you can use new or open up here. But open right here, when you click open, you can, now this is my Mac and I'm going to show you on the PC, but this would be your browser explorer right here. And then you would just travel to where you have your designs. And let's see, I have an all embroidery folder here. And then I'm going to open these categories. Let's open the florals. And when I get these open, it's only going to show me, it does show, sometimes it shows the pictures of the design depending on where we are with the design, but it doesn't show me multiple pictures. So let's go back and look at, if I can, oh, maybe in the January, let's look here. Nope, that's my JPEG, okay. So here, see, some of these I brought in and they were from Edit, so they have that little icon there. I can't really see what it is, so when I click on it, then I can see it. So I only can see one thing at a time. All right. But what's really interesting is when you use your open folder and there's something here, whether it's a draw file, and the draw file is that editable one that you can go back to and make changes to. The Jeff file sitting next to it. This is the finished design. So I would have to convert to curves if I wanted to make any changes to that one. So if I wanted that design, I could just drag it over here, and then I'm going to close this window, and there it is on my window. All right, so I don't really have to go to open file. I could actually go to my Finder. I'm going to open my Finder, and when I open my Finder and I go to embroidery, and let's look at, here we go. If I want to use this pumpkin design, all I have to do is click and drag it over here. And now it's going to be, let me close this window. It's going to be on the same page as my tree because that's where I dragged it to. So sometimes that's easier because you know, if you're a Mac user, you can go through your Finder and find it. Or if you're a PC user, you can go through your Explorer menu. So let me go to my PC and I'm going to show you that over here. Oops. I have a long password, so sometimes it takes me a bit to put that back in. Oh, okay. There we go. All right, let me switch views here to my camera. And out of this one to this one. Hold on. There we go. All right. So here, this is the junior program. It looks the same when you open up the open page. Is all the same here. And if I wanted to go to my my folder over here on the right hand side, and I double click to open it, and then I navigate to some embroidery designs right here. Maybe I want to open up, I don't know if they're in this. There we go. So these are cut work designs. So if I wanted to use one of those, I could just left click and drag it, and it copies it over here. Let me minimize this. And there it is. The other way I was showing you is to go to your open folder here. and then you can navigate through your computer. Sometimes it's much easier to just use your folder over here and navigate in that way. Okay? Just a little shortcut I like to show people on that part of it. Now, the big difference between the full and the junior program is when I open the junior, there we go. Under the tools here, we don't have as many tools. All right, for the junior program. You're missing the shapes tool, the digitize outline tool, a couple other things too, the array tool as well. So you don't have those. And there's a couple of right-click functions you don't have either. But as we go along, I always tell people, sometimes you get it free with your machine, the junior program. Ask your dealer how much is the upgrade to full, because you can buy an upgrade. It's cheaper than buying the full. You don't need the full program. You just need an upgrade. And then that gives you, there's a way to quickly install it, and you'll have the full program at your fingertips. I always recommend that you move up to that because it gives you everything that you want to work with. Less frustration that way because you don't have to find workarounds for tools that you don't have. Okay. Now, a big thing everyone wants to see is where do I go if I need to change things from inches to metric or metric to inches? It's preset in metric. So you would go up here under tools on a PC to options, and this tool window will open up. And right here on the first page, right in here, you can choose it. Now I'm in imperial right now, which is inches. If I wanted to go back to metric, I would click here. Okay. Now you don't have to, if I'm teaching you a lesson and I say, oh, that needs to be 9 millimeters or 2.5 millimeters. You don't have to go try to convert that. You can put in the little window where you have to put that number. You can put it like 2.5 mm. And this machine will convert it all for you. The software converts it all for you, so you don't have to worry about that. So that's where you would change to inches or metric if you like to work, whichever you prefer to work in. Now I'm going to go back, when I go back to the Mac, it's different on the Mac where you go. They have a little icon up here that is the little artistics up here, and you click on that and then preferences, and then you can change that under there. So that's where that is. Hi, Laurel. Oh, look at all these people coming in. All right. So those are a couple of things that really stand out right away. People want to know how to find the inches, how to open things up, and so forth like that. Now, if you were to open up a graphic file, if you double clicked on it, it would give you that window. Let me see if I have one. Wait a minute, let me go back because I think I have one here. Yeah, this is a JPEG right here. If I double click on this, it opens this window up, and this is the convert to stitches window. So in Junior, you only have open as a backdrop or auto digitize trace to outlines. And that means it will digitize the whole thing for you. You don't have the paint stitch, you don't have photo stitch or cross stitch. So you only have these two when you're in there. And paint stitching is really one of my very favorites to use. I love using paint stitch right there. All right. Okay, so let me close this out, and let me think. There was one more thing before I went out of here. I think that's everything on this side. Oh, when I had my page open, do you notice my page doesn't have any grid? All right, so to remove your grid, you would go up under View, Grid, and then you can click on Show or Hide. Now there's actually a little hotkeys for that, Control-Shift-G, and I think on the same, or Control-Command-G on a Mac to bring it back and forth. And of course, if you needed the snap to line is in there as well. I like to keep mine off. So once I've turned it off, I went to View and I said Save Current Workspace as Default. So now every time I open, my grid isn't there. I can add it when I need it, and I don't always want it on there. Okay, for me, it's very distracting. but I sometimes really need it, so I put it back on. So that's where that will be. All right, let me pop back over to the other program. Well, the other version over here, so we can see. All right, so here we are. Remember I mentioned I guess it's showing now, but at the very top of my screen, it says artistic. And when I click there, if you go to preferences, that'll bring up that window where you can change to imperial or from imperial to metric, or if, right now I'm in imperial. If I want to go to metric, I would click there. Okay. There's other things on this tool thing to look at as well, and I've covered those in other lessons. And as I go along, I'll probably pick up again and do them, as we go. So you'll see me open these up later. It would take me, a lot more time to take care of that if we were going to go. So over here, I want to show you. Let me see if I have a JPEG that's handy. And if I go here, over to categories. Here, paint stitch. Let's see this. Here we go. So here I double clicked on my graphic. See all the options you have for when you're in the full program, and you do have the cropping in the junior program as well. So I'm just going to crop this down to something smaller like that. And then I'm going to do paint stitch. I love paint stitch. It's thread work. It really comes out beautiful. So once I choose it, I've cropped this down because I don't need all of that in my I don't need all of this part, though this makes nice background for if you just need some texture. And okay, and the software does everything for you. There it is. Okay, very easy like that. If I went back and let me open it again, and I didn't want the paint stitch, I wanted to convert it to stitches, I would just do auto digitize. Okay. Then over here, I put my accuracy at 5 and my color limit. I kind of guess, I don't want 99. And depending on my palette, I may want to change that, but I'm going to put in 15 colors. And then I'm going to do trace. And then it opens in here as stitches. And then I would go in and do my, any of the work that I need on that. So if I want to open my properties, or my colors, you notice they're not over here on the right hand side. I can right click. Oh wait, I got something up there. There we go. I can right click in the gray spot up here, whether you're in a PC or a Mac, and properties is there and colors. So if I go to properties, it gives me the fill and the outline for this and the things that I can change in this piece. On the other one, this is paint stitch. When I choose this one, hang on, there we go. What I do is I can change my palette now right here in properties. So that's kind of fun too. If I wanted to, maybe something that has a lot of color variation, like Marathon. So it might change the look of it that way. And you have other parameters you can change. This is a fun thing to play with, very much fun thing to play with. All right. Now, what I want to do is I'm trying to think if there's something else on my list. Let me double check before we go over to the project. Let's see. Oh, I don't know if I mentioned this at the beginning. If you have trouble opening your program and it doesn't seem to want to open and it keeps closing on you, go ahead and close everything else that's on your computer and reboot your computer. Sometimes there are Windows updates that are waiting to be done, and they have to be done before the software will load. They just interfere with that stuff. So it's better to just close everything out, close your computer and restart it, then open the program, and you can do that from there. The other thing, if you're going from one computer to another, I do that throughout the day. At the very top on my you can see it here on my Mac, there's a little software key. When I click on it, it brings up my key, and then I can, if I wanted to log out of this, the software has to be closed in order to log out, and then I could go to another computer and click the key over there, and activate would show up, and I could activate my software. Okay, so just something to remember on that part of it. All right. So let's talk about, there's a tool or two when you get into designing that are in the right click menu, like the knife tool, and we're going to use that tool today. We did talk a little bit about colors. The color manager, let me show you how the color manager works. If I open, this is a Jeff file, and this is the Christmas tree skirt. And so right now, if I hover over these are in Janome colors. So say I don't want to use Janome colors, I have another brand. I can go to my color manager over here, click on that, and right down here, I can change my palette to something else. So maybe, let's see, what would, maybe I'm working with Isacord. So I could click on Isacord, and then it changed to Isacord. Just click there. All my colors now, when I hit select, and if your tools aren't working, just go up here and click select. You have to close tools by clicking select. Then when I hover here, you'll see Isacord over here. Now in my color palette, let me open that because it was closed. Over here in my color menu, let me open it. I have mine set for Janome to come up, but then I could use my drop down and I could find the other brands that I have over here, okay? So that's an easy way to change your colors. If it comes in and it's a brand you don't use, you can use your color manager right here to change it quickly. All right, so let's get to the little project. Everybody remembers the little project, right, with the split letter. I am going to go to my browser, and I'm going to go down here to my devices, down here, and I'm going to, sometimes this happens, where's my USB stick? Here we go. Yes. All right, and we are in February. So this is our little project right here. I'm going to open it up, and I'm actually playing with different sizes right now. Let me open this one so we can see it. Here's our little project, and then I'm going to open another one because I did a few changes. I was playing around with a smaller size, outline stitch. This is with a bean stitch. This here, I converted my lettering to a run line. This is pretty tiny, and I have stitched these out. I'm still tweaking them, so they do need a little bit of work. The other thing is I do suggest everyone work with a mouse. Unless you're really, really good with your mouse pad. But on a Mac, I had trouble figuring out where the right click was on the pad. Even on my PC, I don't know, my finger doesn't work as well. I like a mouse because I can use the mouse wheel to move up and down. If I hit shift, it moves it left and right. And if I hit command or control, I can zoom in wherever my cursor is. So if I had my cursor on the left here, it's going to go over there. So always put your cursor where you want to go and hit your zoom. Okay. I love that part. I love that part right there. All right. So the little project. So what I did is I typed in the last name. I found a font that I liked, and then I played with the density. So it's a little bit of an open density. I'm going to click on this one. My density here is 0.30 IN. All right, so that made it a little bit open. And I kind of like it. It's coming out. I like the way it's looking. It's giving a little bit of shading. I did it in red on my next stitch out. On my first one, I did it in blue. So it has kind of like an old-fashioned kind of look to it. And so this is a two-part project. What I'm going to do is move my sequence window to this part. So and I'll show you how to create it. Once it starts stitching, you'll hoop your stabilizer, you'll put your felt in there, or you can use like Pellon fleece if you like. That's really lofty. I like that as well. I just didn't have a piece handy. So you're going to stitch the letter, the last name, and then whatever you put in the middle here, and then stop. And then you're going to take that out of the hoop and trim it outside the basting stitch, and I'll show you that in a minute when we get there. Then you're going to rehoop your stabilizer. a new stabilizer, and you'll put your piece of cardstock in your hoop and tape it. And then you'll center what you trimmed in your hoop, and it'll stitch this tack down. And that's where you'll trim your fleece or your felt. So we'll come back to that because I have a step out to show you that part of it. So the lettering, I'm going to just move over here to the side. All right, so you're going to go to your lettering tab, and then I use the, I'm just going to click up here. Anywhere you click is where it's going to type. And I'm at 30 right there, so that's fine. There we go. And then I'm going to click back on my fonts, and then I could just roll my mouse, and I'm actually going to go, I actually want to go down to the, maybe they're at the top. I want to use the built-in fonts, the XPG ones, because that way we all have the same ones. Every computer has their own set of fonts, and then of course you can bring TrueType fonts in and load them in. Let me grab this little guy and go down here. Oh, it's at the top. It's always the other way. Okay, so let's just click here. There we are. And then I'm just going to click in the little window up here, and then I can roll my mouse around like this, looking at different ones and trying to figure out, which one will be the best for me, thinking about my kids and what kind of stuff they like. Also, the thickness of the letters, because when you cut them apart, now, our last name is short, so there's not a whole lot going on. So I really wanted a thicker font. And if I was remembered, I would have written it down, but I'm just going to pick one here in a minute. So this is an easy way to look at them. I'm just scrolling through. I can see them better over here in my sequence window, but I'm just scrolling through and looking for, I'm going to take this one for now. And then I'm just going to click select to turn off my tool. And then I might want to make it bigger. So I'm just going, I could have used the point in the font and made it bigger, but I can click and drag it. So here it is. And then it comes in as a satin, and you can see down here it has an outline. I don't want the outline, so I'm just going to click on the X to turn off the outline. I just want the letters themselves. And then because this is a satin and I've made it bigger, these stitches might be too long. So to work with that, you can go over to the properties for fill, and under satin, go to satin stitches or satin patterns, and then you can pick a pattern. Now, I was using this one that says, I think it's fish, so I got to write down. There we go. This one here. And you can see it in there. It has like a little ziggy zag to it. And then I started playing with density because I think it's kind of fun to play with density. And I'm going to put 0.03, enter. And you can see that's less dense now. It has that openness. You might not want that openness, so you could keep it at the density it's at. It's just up to you, what you want to do. But that's how you would play with your density a little bit. If I wanted to change my underlay, I would go down in here and I could change the underlay if I wanted to. I'm leaving that the way it is. I don't need to fuss with that at this moment. But once I get going here and I have it the way I want it, I am going to make a line that comes on an angle across here using my Digitize Outline Shape tool. So I'm going to click over here on Digitize Outline Shape, and then I'm going to click up here outside my H, and then I'm just going to bring my line across kind of like this. And I can move it once I get it in there. So I'm going to left click on the left, come over to the right click, end shape. And then if I needed to, I can click on my line and I can move it down further if I think I want it down further. Maybe I want to rotate it a little bit. Maybe it's, maybe I want it more like that. I'm trying to look at like different parts of my letter, like this part over here. I'm not sure I don't want to cut the H off right there. Maybe right here. The E might be funny. On my sample, I actually took some parts of the letter away when I got going because it just didn't work well. So once you have that, you can select your line and your letters. So I'm going to hit Shift. I can click right here in my sequence window to select it. Both are selected. Keep my cursor on there and right click, and you'll see knife. There we go. So now we have the knife. And then I can click on the different parts. So I'm going to click on each part and then hit Shift, click and Shift, pick that part, this part, and this part. Now that I have both those parts, I'm going to use my arrow key on my keyboard to open it up like that. Isn't that kind of fun? So now I have this. So I can play around with this part of it. And it's all about, when you're looking at it, some things you may want to edit out of there. Like this part right here on the E is distracting, I think. I don't know. Maybe it's okay there. Maybe I should remove it. If I wanted to remove it, I could select this part, go to my edit nodes, zoom in really close, and I could maybe click on this one to select it and delete it. Click on this one and then move the arrow over here. That might look more pleasing. Let me go out. So that might make more sense. I don't know. Or maybe I needed to use a different font. That's the part of it when you're cutting it. I've done my name straight across and I never liked that. So I started playing with this on an angle. So I'm kind of liking that. The other thing you can do is see how they line up. These all line up pretty well, I think. But this curvy one, it looks like it's a little bit to the left. I might move it slightly to the right, just a little bit like that. And then I can go ahead and get another font. I'm just going to go ahead and copy this one. Let me go back over here. Pull this one over. I did the same thing. I just went into my fonts, found a font I liked, typed in their names and the information. I removed the outline because I don't like the outlines on my letters. And then I made it small. So I'm going to put it in here. I'm going to still need to move. Let me move that up. I'm going to need to move my letters further apart. So let me just grab these again and just move them down. And you do want to leave space in there. I'm probably going to have to go back. This one really needs to be moved. But use your arrow keys to move them. It makes it much easier. There we go. And I may need to rotate this one a little bit too, because it's a different angle than the opening was. There we go. So once I have the one I want, I can go ahead and go up to the where it says File, and I could do Save As, and I would save it as a draw file first, and then I may save it as a JEF file. Or I can just, if I'm ready to go to my machine, I can just click up here to my machine and I could wirelessly send it or go to USB. Now I have stuff outside the hoop. Let's see what happens. It might not take it. Let's see. Yes, it's not. Let's see if it'll let me. See, it won't let me send it because it's outside the hoop. It's pretty smart. I can't trick it. So I would have to make sure it's in there. So let me just copy this to another page. Up here, copy, go to new, put it here, paste. Let me center it by going back to my machine up there and center. I could go back to my machine and change the hoop to the smaller hoop. And now I could go back and send it to my machine wirelessly. Go here, click on it again. If I double click, hit send, it goes to the machine. Now it's over there. And then I would just stitch that out. Now, there's another part to this we have to create. It's not just those letters. We need this little box here and my decorative box. So to do that easily, I just used my shape rectangle and I drew a shape over this. I deleted from the used colors the red, keeping the outline, and then I just selected it and figured out, how far away I wanted it. You can measure and use all that. If your letters, when you're looking at them and some of the stitching isn't in the right order, looking nice, go to your stitch flow over here, like maybe these all look pretty good. Sometimes the end looks bad. So if I go to this piece and I do stitch flow direction, I get a little dot and I can draw a line and it will move my stitches. Let me just do one that's really direct here. So it made them kind of weird. I don't like that, so I can X that out. That one's okay. So that's what stitch flow does. I love that tool. So the knife and stitch flow are two things I play with a lot. You need to make your stitches go the direction you need them to go in. And it's very, even when you're working with graphics, you want to do that. So I have my line. This is going to be the tack down of this piece that I've stitched. And then I'm going to do a copy paste up here, copy paste. I'm going to change the color of it, of my copy to blue. And then in properties, I can go under outline and running and then stitches, and I can pick a stitch. Now I picked, I don't know where it is, somewhere down here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a stitch up here and show you something that I did with my stitch. Let's use this one. Oh, I clicked on the wrong thing. Undo. There we go. I want the green. I'm going to copy paste that and turn it blue. There we go. And then in properties, I'm going to take that and add something to it. Let's add this one. I'm going to zoom in and show you that. So it's not very big. See, that design's not very big. So I'm going to select it again, and I'm going to go over here to the outline width, and I'm going to make it really wide, like maybe 12.0 mm. And that's like way too wide, but just to show you, you can make them very wide. Let's go down a little bit. I'll make it, let's make it 9.0 mm. There we go. You can also play with the length. So on mine, I had to change, and I'll go back to show you. On this one, this is J035. I had to change my width and my length to get it to do this. Let me scroll over to show you, to make it that big, because it's really not that big of a design. Okay, so that was J something. Let's see here. Let's try to look at that one. You can type up here. I think it's JO. There it is. All right, this is how it comes out in the beginning. If I go ahead and change my width, I think I used 12.0 mm. It changes a little bit, but if you change the length a little bit, it helps there. It makes it even bigger. Okay, so make sure, if it's not, what happened in the beginning, it wasn't making any changes. And I'm like, oh, I made it really wide, but it's not doing anything. Then I changed the length, and between the two of those, you have to use both the length and the width to really get that design. All right, so I'm going to go back to the camera and show you what you do now. First, I'm going to review something up here. So let's go back here. So as I said earlier, you're going to hoop your stabilizer, lay your felt or your fleece in there and baste it down. And then you let it stitch the last name and whatever you're putting in the diagonal. And then you're going to take it out of the hoop and you're going to trim it. And you're going to re-hoop some stabilizer. And that's where we're going to start right there. So I'm going to get the camera back on and we'll do that. Let's see here. Let's go to camera. There we go. All right. So I'm going to move things back here. This is going to go back a little bit. There we go. All right. So what I did is I've stitched this part, right? And you can see the basting right here. I took it out of the hoop and I trimmed it outside the basting. Then I marked the centers of it out here so I could realign it in my hoop in the right spot. Now, if you have AccuSetter, I could have used my lines out here and I could have used AccuSetter, but some of us don't have that. So I like to show I could align it again to put it right in the spot it needs to be. And then before I put it in, I put in my paper. All right, this is my cardstock. This is actually watercolor paper that I have. I like that. And then I let it stitch that first tack down right here. Then I'm going to lift this up and take the tape off carefully here. And it's attached. I'll show you on the back. It is attached right here. So you know it's attached to the hoop. This is the basting from the other one. I'm going to trim right up close to that blue line all the way around. And then I'm going to let it stitch that last piece. So let me get my sample and show you. So when you get done, can you see how I trimmed up close here? So this is the card that was in my hoop. So it's stitched on there. And then I just added another piece of cardstock to the back, like that, with double-sided tape. So you want to trim close and then let it do its stitching to hold it down. And you can pick any stitch. I think this is a really cool way to go. Even if you don't want to, it makes a nice little thing you can insert in a card to give somebody. You could make it really Valentine-y. This isn't really a Valentine theme, but it's a great gift for my kids, and I think they'll really love it. So, and it didn't really take me that long. Creating it, yes, that takes a little bit of time. Stitch out's not bad. You're first going to stitch these two things, take all that out of the hoop. Then you're going to trim it just outside your basting stitch. Align it on top of your stabilizer and paper. Let it stitch the tack down in here to hold everything in. It's a tack down trim line. Then you're going to fold this up and trim all the way around, really close. Take your time. Don't let it pop out of the hoop. And then let it stitch that last part, and you're done. Very easy. Now you could do this if you didn't want to do lettering. You could use a pretty embroidery that you like and do it the same way and make some beautiful note cards and send them to somebody. Wouldn't that be fun? All right, let me put the camera on this way and see if there's any questions. You guys are also quiet. No questions today. And I don't see any questions. So are there any questions before we wrap up? Because I'm always long. What can I say? I hope everybody enjoyed that project. And remember, you don't have to do the lettering if you don't want to. Maybe you have the junior program. You could actually do just the letters on here if you wanted. Or, you could put a pretty design on there and you could put their names as well and make some really, really pretty cards. And what's great is I'm gonna peel this off so you can see the back. This is just my stabilizer on the back of my card. So not a big deal. It is pretty clean on there. So I can just, and it's not going to be centered now, but I'll have to recenter it. And then you could just put it on your other card. And then you could, put it inside a card or however you want to do it. I kind of like these little, I think these would make great note cards because you could use, I would get some double-sided tape that is for paper crafting. So it'll hold the two pieces together. You can even use a little bit of glue stick on there too. And then they could be a little note card on the back. I think there's stamps you can buy that you could put a little design on the back or a little part that says note card, something like that, so they know what to do with it if they want to use it as a note card. All right. Okay, everybody, I'm going to let you go. I'll be back next week on the 13th, just right before Valentine's Day. So I have another project I think it's going to be fun. Sort of a last minute thing that you might want to do before Valentine's, or maybe you could rework it for St. Patrick's or some other holiday. So be sure to stop back next week. Hope to see you. And don't forget, we have videos Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday right here on the page. And then our Friday one is here also, and we do the Continental Club. It'll be, and they all post on here. I've been putting my videos in a playlist on the Janome Sewing Machine page, so they're easier to find. Just go under videos or media and you'll find them. All right, everyone. Bye for now. Have a great day. And it's like the weekend for me. So have a great weekend to you too. Bye.